Right. Good evening, everyone. Think we're live. All right. I'm going to share something to the page here, if I can. I'm going to wait and see if anybody... Oh! I see maybe somebody's here. I have something I'm going to post to the page. Okay. Sorry. So if you're on there, if you're out there, I see a couple of people joining me. If you're out there, can you do me a favor and go on and just share the stream? That's what I'm trying to do right now, just so we can get the word out that we're live. This is something I can't do until I get on here. And I just want to share this, so if anybody happens to scroll by my page and they want to join us, they can. All right, I'm sharing that. Oh, I need to turn that down. All right. So the other thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to share something under my live feed, maybe. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to comment, and I'm going to put a picture down here. Can I do that? I can't do that. Man. Okay, I keep learning things I can and can't do. Oh. All right. Hi, Taylor. I was trying to figure out how I could post a picture on here, but I don't see how I can do that. Maybe I can do that as myself. I'm figuring out this technology. I'm going to get started in just a minute. So if you're here, can you just chime in and say that you're here? And what I'm asking you to do, if you can, is maybe just share this video to your feed. And that way, you know, if you have any friends that are popping by, happen to see your page, then they would possibly scroll and see me. All right. Okay, I need to... I'm going to comment... But I can't put a picture. One of these days, I'm going to put, hi there. And a big shout out to my nephew, who it is his birthday today. They're getting older, I'm getting older. And, Richard, I'm going to send you a picture, and I want to see if you can put it in the comments, because I cannot. Richard is my moderator there. He's my husband, my hubby. And he helps me out a lot. I just told him tonight, I got this, I don't need any help. And then here I am asking for his help. So I just sent him a picture to see. All right, we got some people popping on. So I don't know about you, but today has been one crazy Monday. My eye's doing this twitching thing. I don't know if it's because I've been having too much caffeine, and so here I go with, this is breakfast blend, Starbucks breakfast blend. I'm a rebel. I have my breakfast blend for my evening nightcap. So anyway, today's been kind of a crazy day, and I've been thinking all day, like, what can I do? What can we talk about? I struggle with that, and I've had two thoughts on my mind, really, and I thought, you know what? It won't post. I can't post pictures. Oh.
We gotta do something better later.
Okay. The survey says my IT support just came up and said we can't post pictures. One of these days, I'm gonna get this post put up. I tried to put it up last week. Tried to share my screen. It didn't work. And the thing is, we can't really test things. We could test them out on like a practice thing, but I'll have to do that for next time. But so anyway, what I was saying, it was something. There's been a couple things that have been on my mind lately that just really been heavily on my mind. First thing was sharing our stories, and I shared some about that last week. I shared that book with you by Allender. I heard from one person that they bought it. It's definitely worth your read. And I don't know if it looks like I'm kind of skipping a little bit, so hopefully you're not having any problems seeing me or hearing me. But if you are, I'm sorry, because I don't know what to do about it. So we'll just have to pretend I'm doing the robot kind of thing. Anyway, so the first thing that's been on my mind has been the thing about sharing our stories and the importance of sharing our stories. And then the second thing that's been on my mind a lot, partly, it's probably been a growing thing on my mind. Mom and Dad are on this week's production now. All right, very good. Has been that of social justice, orphan justice, just justice in general, and a lot of the counseling training that I've been doing. A lot of times, we're learning a lot about those who do not have access to mental health care, do not have access to the resources they need to be able to live successfully. Whether that means staying out of prison, staying out of, some of these resources. And as I've started my new job, one of the big things about the new job that I'm in is I help. Oh, sorry. I just read the comment from my mom. They were on last week's podcast and thought they were reading my mind. Well, that would seem like it because you already knew what I was going to say. But tonight is going to be so much different than anything I've ever done before. So let me finish what I was just saying. This is my ADD. It gets going off. But I've been with this new job I've been in. I've been doing a lot more training because a lot of the people that I'm dealing with are people that are just going through tough times, that don't have the resources that they need at this current time to be together as a family. And if you have ever experienced that, I only experienced it briefly, and it's probably the most helpless feeling I have ever felt. And, I look at it and I'm like, man, as believers, as a church, what can we do to help people like that? Because the truth is, at some point, most of us are going to be in that boat. And for some of us, we belong to a church body that if you're willing to say that you're struggling, you'll have help. But for those that may not belong to a church body or may not have support systems, it's just, oh, best of luck to you. And so, man, my heart has just been really stirred of like, what can we do? And what is this thing with social justice? And why don't we hear more about it in the church? And why don't I get that the emphasis of the church is the Great Commission, go and make disciples of Christ in all nations. But there's also the Great Commandment that is to love God first of all, and then to love others. And so many times what I see in churches are the Great Commandment or the Great Commission, and the Great Commandment is not really anywhere there, because if we're doing things nice for people in the community, we can't possibly give the gospel. Or if we kind of meet the physical need first to get the gospel in there, then we're only meeting the physical need. So it's kind of that gray area for the church a little bit. That's something that's been on my mind and on my heart. So I've been thinking a lot about this. I just wanted to, so tonight I'm going to share a story with you, because we've been talking about stories last week. And, but we're going to combine a story and it's a kid's story that kind of shows some social justice aspects. So I was thinking about it before and thinking, okay, what is this idea of social justice? What does it actually mean? Because we hear about it, but what does it actually mean? So I found a very reliable source first, Wikipedia. And according to everyone's definition, everyone that contributed to Wikipedia, they said that social justice is fair and just relations between the individual and society as measured by the distribution of wealth, opportunities for personal activity, and social privileges. Okay, so I kind of took that with a grain of salt. So then I went and I looked at Merriam-Webster dictionary online. And what that said was basically it's the practice of egalitarianism. And I've been hearing a lot about egalitarianism as I've been doing my studying and different cultures and like how there's cultures where like it's male dominated as far as what the man says goes, and there's one where it's a little more shared. Egalitarian is a little bit more equal opportunity. And so egalitarianism is a social philosophy advocating the removal of inequalities among people. And so what Merriam-Webster defines as social justice is the practice of advocating for the removal of inequalities among people. And I think of just recently the passing of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and I know that there's a lot of different feelings about her out there. One of the things I felt in watching some of this is as I kind of thought, man, I feel kind of bad because I feel like there's been people waiting for her to die because it's an opportunity for political agendas and some agendas that probably need to be on the table. But there were some things, and as I watched the documentary of her life, that she really did fight for equal rights in different things. She fought for men to get widow benefits that a mother would have gotten if the husband had passed away and the mother got the benefits. So anyway, just interesting stuff. Just trying to see things from a balanced perspective, and people can do in our lives throughout the span of our lives and our stories. We do things we're proud of, and we do things we're not proud of. And God can use anyone to accomplish His purposes. And I think that there were some very noble things that she fought for in her life. I don't know how I got off on that, but that's kind of where my brain went for a minute, talking about equality, and trying to make sure that people are able to have the same rights, they have the same benefits as others. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to share a story, and if you think for a moment that since you are older, you are too old for a story, let me tell you that this woman right here finally became acquainted with Dr. Seuss in her 30s. And I don't ever remember reading him when I was younger. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I didn't like to read when I was younger, so that's probably part of it. But this is not a Dr. Seuss book. But what I'm saying is, I have learned to love children's books. And a lot of times there's some very profound lessons that we would get from children's books that we actually wouldn't get as a child. So I have a story I wanted to share. And once again, if you think you're too old for this, I'm reminded of back when we were visiting. I did read Dr. Seuss. Oh man, I don't remember. Thank you, Mom, but I don't remember reading it. So one of the things I remember when we were still visiting our boy and hanging out with him, one of the residentials he was in, we got to go back into the room area where the boys were, and our guy had some books in his room, and he was getting settled down, ready to fall asleep, like for an afternoon nap. And so I sat down and I picked up a book and I started reading a book. And it was a very profound book that I was reading. It was like the princess with the big nose and hop on pop, and the prince with or princess with big nose and the prince with big toes, or prince vice versa. Anyway, and as I'm reading this book, I look up and there's a bunch of like 16, 17-year-old boys huddled around the doorway, just like hanging on every word as I was reading. And it was just one of those moments that I'll never forget. So I'm going to try to read this story to you. I'm going to try to do some voices. So if your kiddos are up, I know it's probably past their bedtime. This is a child-friendly coffee talk with Kim. My political opinions are over. So, not political opinions, but you know what I'm saying. This story is called Good Father, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to show you the pictures while I read it. I read this to a room full of teachers, and they appreciated it. Hopefully I can get my voices right. But I want you to see the themes in this story. When we talk about social justice and we talk about the philosophy of advocating for the removal of inequalities among people. Let's see where we can find these things in this story and how it relates to our good Father. This is by Chris Tomlin and Pat Barrett. Chris Tomlin sings Good Father, but they wrote this together as dads for their kids because they wanted their kids to see how good their father was, their good father was. A colorful kite soared in the sky, and then whoosh! It caught on an oak tree branch. "Oh, don't worry, I can help," Tucker called, tugging the kite this way and that. Tucker was a little bear. Helping others made him happy, and his friends needed lots of help. Some bears were fighting. Some bears were sick. Some bears couldn't read. Some bears were hungry. Some bears were sad. Tucker didn't know how to help his friends. They were all without. "Oh, I could ask the king for help," Tucker cried. "Maybe, just maybe, if I give him the perfect gift, he will help us." So off Tucker went on a journey to see the good king who lived in the castle where the door was always open. It wasn't long before a group of big, strong raccoons blocked Tucker's path. "Stop!" one raccoon ordered. "What do you want?" "I want to take the king the perfect gift, but I don't know what to choose," Tucker explained. "The good king is a warrior," the raccoon said. "Why don't you give him this shield?" "Oh, the king will keep you safe," cheered the other raccoons. Down the road, an owl swooped down in front of Tucker. "Hoo, hoo," the owl called out. "What would you like to learn?" "I'm trying to figure out the perfect gift to make the king happy," Tucker replied. "The king teaches from his wise book," the owl told him. "I'm certain the king would be pleased if you gave him something to read." As Tucker walked away, the owl hooted, "Go see the king. He is a good teacher." As he walked, Tucker spotted foxes wearing long white jackets. "How are you feeling?" asked a concerned fox. "Well, I feel fine, but some of the bears in my town are sick," Tucker replied. "I'm on my way to see the king and ask for help." "Here, take these bandages as a gift," the fox said. "The king is a good doctor." That's just how I imagine that foxes that are dressed like doctors would talk. More confused than ever, Tucker sat to rest. "Are you here for a snack?" a squirrel asked. "Actually, I'm trying to find the perfect gift for the king," Tucker explained, looking around. "Wow! You have so many yummy-looking fruits and vegetables." "Why don't you take the king these seeds?" the squirrel suggested. "The king is a good farmer. He'll help you grow food." Far away, Tucker heard music and singing and laughter. He followed the sounds until he spotted some happy turtles. Jump on in, here's your chance. This turtle town just loves to dance, a turtle sang. We used to be sad, but now everything is a celebration because of the king. What kind of gift do you think he would like? Tucker asked. Oh, give the king this violin, the turtle said. He's a good musician. The king will bring you joy. All the animals Tucker met had told him different stories about the king and what the perfect gift would be. But Tucker still didn't know what to give him. He looked up to the castle at the top of that tall hill. As it always was, the door was wide open. Tucker tiptoed toward the open door. He's looking like he's carrying a heavy load there. Tucker! The king ran toward him with a huge smile. I'm so glad you're here. It looks like you need my help. My friends are in trouble, and I thought if I brought you the perfect gift, you would help us, Tucker explained shyly. You brought the perfect gift, the king said with great love. Now, let's go help your friends. Tucker wasn't sure which gift was the perfect one. Even so, he hurried off with the king. On their journey back to the little bear's town, Tucker asked question after question. Are you a warrior? Yes, answered the king. Are you a teacher? Yes, answered the king. Are you a doctor? Are you a farmer? Are you a musician? Yes, yes, and yes, the king patiently replied. But how can you be all these things? The little bear asked. The king smiled. I am all of these things because I am the good father. Soon the king and the little bear reached Tucker's town. When the bears saw the king, one by one they bowed down. The king walked through the town and gave help to everyone who needed it. Most of all, the king, the good father, loved them. Tucker said to the king, Now I see. You're not only a good father, you're a good father. A good father protects us. A good father teaches us. A good father makes us well. A good father gives us what we need. A good father fills life with music and laughter. And most of all, a good father loves us. Dear King, I have one more question. Which gift was the perfect one? Tucker asked. You are the perfect gift, the king told the little bear. You came to me when you needed help. You trusted me. You bring me great joy, and I love you with all my heart, the same way I love all my children. Tucker curled up with sleepy eyes and a full heart and whispered, You really are a good father. That's one of my favorite stories. I remember probably one of the only times I read it to our boy. He cried afterwards. We were in the car and he cried because of all the people, all the other bears in the town that were sad and they needed help. And I suspect he probably cried too because he wanted to have a good father. And so I'm hoping in our case that during his time with us, he got to see that there is a good father. But as I was reading that, some of the things that came to my mind is, first of all, there was a quote that I was actually reading from the book that I talked about last week, the Dan Allender book, To Be Told. And it was an anonymous quote that says, Adversity introduces us to ourselves. And I think of this little bear Tucker. He saw adversity in other people, and it became his adversity. And what did he do? He could have sat and he could have waited for that king whose door is always open to come down to the city and fix the problem. Because the king could do that. Sorry, I had a little clicking noise. But Tucker didn't do that. He sought for the resources, something to take to the king to get the king to come down to help the other bears. And I see that in this little bear, that social justice advocate. And I think for us as believers, and even for those if you're watching and maybe you're not a believer, there is a good father. And he could come down and swoop in and he could solve all the world's problems. But he chooses to use people like you and people like me to be advocates, to come to him, to bring those requests to him, but then also to be his hands and his feet. So my thoughts were, he didn't just wait for the good father to come to his people. He went to the good father on their behalf, and he was also the hands and feet. So my question tonight is it really for me, and I'm really wrestling this, and maybe it's for you too. What is our role? What is our role in social justice? What is our role in trying to advocate for the removal of inequalities among people? Because there will always be inequalities among people because that's what sin does. But what is our role in trying to help? And my thought is, if a little bear can do hard things, so can we. I know this is a fictional story, but yeah, he saw opportunity in adversity. He saw that opportunity to go and to meet people's needs, and we have people all around us. Unfortunately, a lot of times the people who need it the most are the people we feel uncomfortable to associate with. But just think about our dirtiest and darkest days, that God didn't let that hinder him from sending his only son for us, and for those who need it now that don't know him. So that's just really what's been on my heart. I feel like as churches, we could always do more. Yeah, exactly, Mom. I've been thinking about you guys' RU program where you open the doors to people who are recovering from different addictions. And I know there's other programs that other churches host. The place where I work, we have, it's called Safe Families for Children. Churches can partner with them and host children if families need more time or resources to avoid being separated. These are things that really, as the body of Christ, God's called us to do. He's called us to, as Micah 6 verses 6 through 8 talk about, he tells us to, what does the Lord require of us? To walk justly, to love mercy, to walk humbly with our God. These are the things that God wants and requires of us. So, maybe it's time for those of us who see the opportunities, if there's not opportunities in our churches, we try to see what our churches can do. Maybe it's time for us to be those point people. I'm talking to myself. Or if we already have things in our church, how can we keep it fresh? How can we keep going? If you don't go to a church, or you want to be involved in some way to help, what's something that you can do? Can you volunteer at a food kitchen? I've heard of people keeping pre-made little packets that they keep in their car that has like either a gift card for like McDonald's or granola bars, socks, things like that. Where I'm at, it's really big in our communities that people are on the where the major intersections are, and they're holding signs, that they need things. Well, you can hand out some pre-made packets. I know some people feel a little leery about giving money, but if you go to McDonald's, pick up a couple extra sandwiches and find some people to hand them out to. There's ways that we can all be involved in some different way. And so I'm challenging myself. I've felt the burden and I felt the challenge. I challenge you. If you're out there listening, if you can think of anyone as well who might benefit from hearing that story tonight or benefit from just hearing any of the thoughts, if you have grandkids you want to share the video with, you can do that. Just share the live video. And as always, I really appreciate you guys' support. You guys tuning in. I know it's a difficult time and we're tired. It's Monday. It's a hard day. But I think it's a time where we can be encouraged together. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I appreciate it. And we'll see you next week. Once again, feel free to share this video with anyone. Natalie's sisters. Okay. Wow. Norma, is Natalie's sisters, is that just like a local thing or is that a nationwide thing that somebody could get involved in? I'm asking Carter. Okay, so I have to tell you before I sign off here, I just love. I've been doing this thing with my mom and my great niece Carter that we're going over the color monsters, learning what different colors represent different emotions and making color monsters and things. And that's just the funnest part of my day. Okay, it's local. But I think Carter's learning some good lessons. She's teaching her mom some things from what I hear today. But Norma, that's a great opportunity, and I know there's opportunities like that all around us. I know Safe Families for Children, where I work, is actually a national organization, and different states have their own chapters, and they partner with churches. So you can always look at something like that. But there's all kinds of things in your area that you could probably get involved with. It just takes having that passion. Okay, it's in Kentucky. All right. Well, you guys are wonderful. It's been great. Share this with anyone you want to. Hopefully it can be an encouragement to someone. But stay safe, be smart, be wise, be healthy, and we will see you again next week. Have a good evening.